at the Melbourne Design Awards. Very pleased to be joined by Ziggy and Danny from Hoyne to talk about a project that's out in the western suburbs, I believe, of Melbourne.
Correct.
And it is the Woodlea project.
It's the Woodlea project. So it's actually a joint venture between Mirvac and VIP investments. We've been working with the client for next to about 3 years now to bring their community to life. So it's a community of about 7,000 homes, and there's a big project vision to project, and every element that we've been working on with these guys has been to reinforce the vision and make it bigger and better. And anything about the brand, or everything about the brand, is all about scale, and I'm really driving this sense of a big sort of community heart.
So how did you first tackle this project? Obviously, driving this community heart that you talk about through the brand itself. So how do you even begin?
Well, if you look at the brochure, I think it's about 80 pages long. So it's really about sort of delving into the project details and understanding what this community is all about. So working quite closely with the client from the get-go and understanding what was actually going into the project. So, things like all of the sports grounds, all of the natural elements, all of the community hearts and town centres, really drilling down into the detail of every single element and not really leaving an element for, the potential consumer to try and imagine. We tried to put it all on the table, so it's quite easy to understand what this community will be like once it's actually established and up and running.
So tell me, Ziggy, then some of those elements. There's 80 pages, as you mentioned. Yep. So how then, obviously you imagine it, you work with the client, of course, to create this type of look and the feel. Yep. But what are some of those elements?
Well, with all these communities that we sort of brand, a lot of them don't exist. So I guess a challenge for us is sort of to repeat what Danny said, to paint that vision. So, we get a lot of... it's a lot of image building, so I guess painting the picture for town centres, making that feel real, giving it a sense of place, which it doesn't have when we start. And it was just a paddock. So for us, it's really to give the consumers a vision of what this is going to be like, and really create this community that doesn't really exist yet, and giving it its own little, giving it its own heart and personality. Yeah. In a landscape that is quite generic, with lots of other developments. You get real families with kids in parks, and from the get-go we said this is not what we want to do. We want to make something really different and own the scale and size that it is.
How do you then work with the developer? How do you work with the architects as part of to develop that brief, to develop that vision?
Yeah, so we collaborate from the get-go. I guess we wanted to understand what real Melburnians want out of suburban living. So, quite often the suburbs are forgotten, and, you focus on those inner fringe suburbs and projects that have a lot of character with, cafes and true amenity nearby. But with a project that doesn't have anything from the get-go, it's really important to sort of understand what people are wanting to get out of their park. So introducing kind of yoga and sort of fitness stations within the parks. And then even what Woodlea have delivered from day one. So they've put in a really reputable cafe, which hasn't been seen in any of those sort of new community and suburbs. So really injecting, I guess, amenity that is going to resonate with people who don't want to miss out of having, what the inner city suburbs can offer.
The potential clients who are going to be living here, when they receive or see your material, what do they pick up? Give me a sense of what they're touching and feeling.
Everything is colourful, everything is bold, everything is big. When we started, like we've been talking about, we wanted to really go out into market with a big bang. Often, marketing is all about sort of banging the drum, and that's exactly what we've done with this project. Over time, the project has evolved. There are things that are actually now being delivered on the ground. So they've got parks up and running, they've got a display village that's up and running. So the brand has slightly evolved over time because there is things that people can go out and see on the ground. So it's sort of transitioned into something that, was a very, very much about sort of a big, colourful statement, but now it's progressing into something that's becoming quite established and quite sophisticated, which is appealing to a broad range of demographic, and especially out in Melbourne's West, you are getting, a range of different consumers and demographic.
Do you want to live there after doing all the brochures?
Well, I can tell you I went to the cafe and it was brilliant. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything by sort of being out there. So it's really well connected. There's a train station, which is one of the big key features of the project. And when by the time it's done, it's going to have everything you need out there. So, yeah, it's a great community.
Just to wrap up, Ziggy, to work on a project like this at Hoyne with a developer like Mirvac Mirvac and Woodlea, in comparison to some of the other work that you do, what's different about the way that you work with the client?
Well, I think we had a pretty special relationship with Mirvac and VIP, and we had from the beginning a really good understanding of what they want. And, you know, working with them, I feel like we've been able to deliver a really good project that we're both really proud of. And we can see it with the residents. People are moving in.
Yeah.
This whole vision's really come to life, and it's great. It's amazing.
I think the client has trusted us. I think that's very important when you sort of come to deliver these projects. They've let us effectively run. They've put a lot of their input in, and we've been able to collaborate with them at sort of every single level. They've had a lot of social integration. I guess it's a project that's spoken about amongst the design industry, but also in the property industry. It's sort of won accolades of being the fastest selling community in Australia, and it's not hard to understand why. So I think having a good client who's willing to let you go and explore and kind of delve deeper and take a different approach, I think that's what's been the key factor to achieving the outcomes that we have with the project.
Perfect way to wrap up. That sounds fantastic. Sounds like a great project. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Ziggy.
No worries. Thank you.